Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday, the 20th day of February, 2023. I hope you had a good weekend. For some people, not myself, but for some people, the weekend continues as today is a federal holiday, President's Day, but I'm working today. But anyway, glad I'm being able to work, and I hope if you're working and prospering, and if you're not working, but you're getting a day off, it's a paid day off, and you're enjoying the rest of your weekend. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are trying to save lives. Blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets, sidewalks, highways, parks clean and disease free. And those also that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women who are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the victims of child molestation and pedophilia, the victims of pornography and child pornography, the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, the victims of human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators, double curses on all the profiteers, double curses on all the perverts that create this heinous and disgusting industry. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children living on the streets of the United States of America, and the most appalling thing is that they're mostly children and increasingly elderly. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Today, this video is not only for Knicks Nation, but it's more pointed. It's not just for Knicks Nation, it is for Knicks Nation. And it's about Obi Toppin. And it's not just Obi Toppin. This video is for us in Knicks Nation who are supporters of Obi Toppin. Why do I say that? Because there are some in Knicks Nation that don't support some of their players, have lots of negative things to say about this player or that player. I'm not into the hate today with Obi Toppin. So if you have hate, if you want to bring hate and claim that you're just speaking truth, go to another channel. I'm here for the supporters of Obi Toppin because I am a supporter of one Obadiah Richard Toppin Jr. Now, summer before last. In fact, I think it was the summer after Obi's rookie year. Several of us saw the potential in Obi Toppin coming out of University of Dayton, USA Player of the Year, college basketball, National Player of the Year. It was a little older coming out of Dayton, started slow, and he's another one that's a slow starter. And like RJ's a slow starter, Obi's a slow starter, but he's different. He's a slow starter in life. He's a late bloomer. And he's been that way his whole life. He grew late he's now 6'9", but he didn't start like that. He was about 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" in high school. Then he grew. And then after he grew, he started going to, junior colleges and prep schools because he had little academic issues. And so he ended up at University of Dayton as an older guy, not old, but somebody 20 already when he was a freshman, 2021. And stayed 2 seasons. And then left, at age 22, University of Dayton to come into the NBA, which in these days is a little older because a lot of the top prospects are 18, 19, and 20 because of the upside. And a lot of scouts and NBA coaches and staffs and organizations don't always like to pick a guy that's over those ages because of the lack of upside. Now, let me explain upside in terms of what we're talking about here. There's upside in terms of players getting better, okay? Like RJ Barrett is 22 now, and he has upside because he's going to get better. He's going to become more efficient. He's going to become a better defender. Eventually, these things are going to happen. Maybe when he's 24, But you know that that's coming because all of the template, the physical abilities are there. Obi Toppin and guys that age, you're looking at guys that are pretty much sometimes, not Obi's case, but sometimes at their peak. And sometimes at their peak, if they're at their peak as a college basketball player, they may not make it in the NBA because you need to be able to deal with NBA speed, for example, to be able to deal with NBA defense, for example, to be able to understand how the NBA game works on both sides of the ball. For example, a lot of shooters, and I like to use Jimmer Fredette as Exhibit A. Jimmer Fredette was a tremendous college basketball player, a tremendous shooter. That was his trademark. He was a shooter. But he came into the NBA, and the split second difference between a college jump shot getting off and an NBA jump shot getting off completely ruined his game for the NBA level. College level, lights out. Went to China, was averaging 40. But in the NBA, the speed of the game, in terms of the physical speed of the players and the defenses, is such that you don't get the same amount of time to get your shot off. Especially if you can't get your shot off the dribble. If you need a pick or whatever, and you need to get your shot off, you need a couple of split seconds faster. Not, almost unnoticeable between college and the NBA, but it is there. And that's why a guy like a Jimmer Fredette could shoot the lights out in NCAA and can't shoot the lights out in the NBA. And that happens to older players because they're not going to get that ability usually if they're already older and they're playing, a little bit above their peers in the NC2A. Generally, they're not going to get that much better, if at all, in the NBA. And so you're looking for them to be able to make that jump to the NBA, and that type of upside we're talking about with an older player. Obi is different. He wasn't at his peak at Dayton. He wasn't at the top of his game in terms of being able to expand it. And of course, he had a tremendous talent. He had speed and athleticism that was there already. He could shoot the ball at Dayton, so we weren't sure if he can shoot the ball in the NBA. And of course, the short-sighted are quick to say he couldn't shoot because he wasn't getting minutes in the NBA. There's a few things that involve shooting in the NBA that you have to take into consideration. Number one, what type of guy are you talking about? Are you talking about a guy that could come off the bench like a Jamal Crawford, cold as ice, and drop 40? That's a rare talent. But there are people that can do that. Or you're talking about a guy that needs to get in the flow of a game, over the course of a game, to get sweated in the game and then gets a rhythm. That's more like a Julius Randle or an R.J. Barrett. Obadiah is that second class. He was playing heavy minutes at Dayton. He had time to get himself in the flow of a game. Then he could start doing all his skills, especially shooting at the end. Shooter especially. They need to develop a rhythm. Obi has not had that chance on the Knicks because of the minutes restrictions that he's been dealing with playing behind All-NBA Julius Randle. So what we end up seeing is glimpses, flashes of what can be with Obi. And the nicest stretch of that flash we saw was at the end of last season. At the end of last season, he was killing it, when he was getting the opportunity. Because for the last, I think, 5 games, Julius Randle sat. And for the last 5 games of the season, Obi got to play heavier minutes than he played in his whole career. And he was putting up, tremendous numbers when he was doing that because of the minutes he was getting. So I'm looking at the last 5 games of last season, starting with a Cleveland game last April 2nd. He had 20 points in that game. He played in that game 31 minutes. The next game against Orlando, he played 35 minutes. He had 20 points in that game. The next game against, Brooklyn, he played, what did he play? He played 43 minutes and got 19 points in that game. Again, the next game against Washington, he played 38 minutes and he got 35 points. The last game against Toronto, he played 40 minutes and got 42 points. Now, a lot of people will say, well, he's playing at the end of the season, nobody cares. That's not the point. This is the NBA. Okay, so he's playing against highly skilled players, no matter if they're playing for a playoff spot or not. And I'm not saying, and so to look at this, you're not saying he's going to average 35 a game in the NBA if he got 40 minutes. But what you see is the ability to score, the ability that we already know to run the floor at very elite level, finishing ability, very elite level. And I believe, aside from the fact that he really can shoot the ball, I think he's a much better rebounder than people think. He's just not being put in that situation. Okay, and it's not his strong suit, but like I said, if given, let's say 25, let's say you give Obi Toppin starters minutes, which is like 30 minutes a game. You give him starters minutes. Give him Julius Randle's minutes. I mean, it's not going to happen here, but let's say you did that. You gave him 30 minutes a game, 32 minutes a game. I guarantee you, he's going to score 20 a game. He's going to get you 8 rebounds a game. He's not going to be Julius Randle getting you 15 rebounds, 12 rebounds, but he's going to get you 8 rebounds. He's going to get you some easy baskets because of his speed. He's going to get the ball up the floor fast and put pressure on the defense. Obi does all of that, okay? He's been a little slow to pick up defensive schemes. Again, over his whole life, he's been a late bloomer. So I'm expecting Obi to become, in the next 2 or 3 seasons, age 24, 25, 26, 27. If he gets starters minutes, you're going to be talking about him in an All-Star game because that's how good I feel that he is. He's not going to get that in New York. And there's nothing Tom Thibodeau can do about it. I mentioned yesterday in the podcast that there's one lineup that I don't think Tom has tried that I'd like to see. And that is, and the reason I got the idea from watching the Washington Wizards, because they ran this lineup successfully. That is, they had Daniel Gafford at the 5. They had KP at the 4. And they had Kuzma at the 3. And with that lineup, they were very successful in terms of plus minus. So I thought, well, I'm wondering, Kuzma, Obi, about the same size, similar skill sets. So I'm like, I'm wondering if you had that happen here. You get Mitch Rob or Julius, or Mitch Rob, or Hartenstein and Julius with Obi. Julius, Hartenstein, Obi, and then we have so many good backcourt players. You could have Jalen Brunson, you could have Grimes, you could have IQ, you could have Hart. There's a whole bunch of, we're blessed now with a whole bunch of talent in the backcourt. So I'm thinking, well, if we could do that, if you could try that, I'm wondering if that would not only give Obi more minutes, because the object is to win, okay? But I'm wondering, with that, would Obi win? Would we win? Would that be a really good lineup? I don't know. And that, I haven't seen Tibbs actually really play that lineup. I haven't seen him do that. So I don't know if that would work or not. But, like I said, I feel like that's worth a try. That's worth looking at. See, like the Kuzma, Gafford, Porzingis front court for Washington they play 74 minutes together. They're plus 23. Okay, that's what Bradley, Beal, and Morris rounding out that starting 5. So they're plus 23. Yeah, I just would like to see if that would work. Then they had a lineup with Rui Hachimura, Kuzma, and Porzingis. Porzingis playing the 5, Hachimura playing the 4, Kuzma playing the 3, plus 37. So I'm like, they had some semblance of success with that. So I was thinking, maybe the Knicks could try that and just see. Because the reason I'd like to do it is because Obi is just too good of a talent. What's going to end up happening? He's going to end up going to another team. For a couple of reasons. If you don't get him some more minutes here, it makes no sense to keep him here. He's too good to play 8, 9, 10 minutes a game. It's a waste. Okay? And I mentioned this a couple of seasons ago, but here we are. He's about to go into time for an extension talk. And he wants to make his money like everybody. So how could he do that playing 9, 10, 12 minutes a game? How could he do that playing 16 minutes even? So he is right now another Knick that the Knicks drafted. And the Knicks draft has been so positive. The Knicks front office and Walt Perrin and them have done such a tremendous job that the Knicks are stacked on almost every position from players they drafted. See? I mean, Mitchell Robinson, Jericho Sims is two guys that they drafted that played a five. We got Hartenstein, but he was free agent, right? But even that, good signing. RJ at the three, right? You play Grimes at the three, right? You have Grimes again at the two with Emmanuel Quickly, right? You still have Deuce McBride, right? And IQ could play the point as well. Then, of course, we have Obi, So there's the Knicks have drafted very well. Then, of course, again, I mentioned Mitchell Robinson, second round. Okay, so, I mean, the Knicks have drafted very well. So with that, we have a problem. And that's generally what you're going to get. So now, what do? Like I said, you end up with a nice stable of young assets that you drafted. Okay, so now what you do, and it's kind of it's really easy. It's just difficult heart-wise. Okay, the easy thing you see now, the Knicks, like I said, if you look at them, RJ Barrett right now, and I'm just saying this at this point, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to always be, but at this point, RJ Barrett is your weak link. Okay, RJ is. Brunson is your weak link defensively, but he scores so on such an elite level. He puts so much pressure on the defense that you just want four guys around him that could play high-level defense. That's what you need. Okay? Now, with Julius Randle, he has the physical ability to do it, and this year he's put that effort more than any other time that I've seen, except the year that they went fourth in the East. But this year, he's really putting on the effort. And I've seen him, like I said, there's been games where RJ is getting cooked, and he's like, okay, I'll take that guy. And he takes whoever it was that was cooking RJ and does a good job. So if we can count on Julius to do that, now you add another defender at the 3 spot, and you'll have 4 defenders around Jalen Brunson. That's what you need. Okay, so RJ is the guy right now. He's been getting cooked all year. Unfortunately, he has regressed defensively. Some people think it's because he's hurt. That's possible. But the bottom line is he's not getting the job done. He might be hurt. He might be. RJ's not the type to complain about, unless he's really hurt, like with his finger, with his hand, that really hurt. Van Bone was out. But he's not the type to complain about something that if he's hurt. But he's not said that. Nobody's reported that he had any knee issues or any other issues. Okay? So you got to assume he's healthy. He's just not getting it done on the defensive end. Problem is, as I mentioned, you have guys that are going to be available this summer. Okay? If the Nets sink down into the play-in from where they sit now, okay? The Nets right now are I think they're in the 5th seed. Yeah, they're in the 5th seed right now. So if they sink below that and they start to sink into the play-in, okay, they will have decisions to make this summer. If they continue to stay in the top 6, let's talk about Brooklyn Nets. If they continue to stay in the top 6, they'll probably go to retool with what they got around Bridges, okay, and Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson and everybody else they got over there, especially in the veterans they got. But if they sink out of the top 6 and fall into the play-in and then do not advance in the play-in, they have decisions to make this summer. Mikal Bridges is 26. He's going to be 27. He's in his prime now. He just came from a Phoenix Suns team that went to the NBA Finals. Okay? He knows what it's like to play in big playoff games under pressure. He's wanting to win. Now. And 2 of his best Villanova buddies are right across the Brooklyn Bridge. So it's possible. I'm not saying it's probable. I'm not saying it's definite. I said it's possible. Some of you guys don't get that part. That the Nets will be trying to get what they can for him in terms of draft capital and in terms of talent, young talent. Hence, Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin is from New York. His father, the senior Obadiah, is a playground legend. They would love him in Brooklyn, and he would get starters minutes in Brooklyn. Okay. And so a package around Obi would probably be something the Nets would look at. You get a package around Obi, some first round draft capital, and some, whatever else it takes to get the deal done. And you get Obi Toppin in Brooklyn, and you get Mikal Bridges in New York. Now your New York team is complete. Or Jerami Grant's an unrestricted free agent. He likes playing with Dame Dollar. He has said so. He likes Portland. But he's not signed the extension. They have a $112 million extension on the table right now. He's not signed it. And he has said, this script has been read before. Player X is in last year of contract. Player X has been offered extension by his present team. Player X does not sign extension and says they're going to check their options. That means pretty much he's leaving Portland. I don't know where he's going, but I do know he is also 29 years old. He has played in big-time NBA playoff games, both with Oklahoma City as well as Denver. He went to Detroit because him and the front office was real tight. And he found playing with a bunch of kids was fun, but winning is better. Well, he ended up in Portland this time. Now, I don't know where he's going to go. He hasn't let on, which means money is an issue as well as winning. So if the Knicks can show not just Grant, but the whole NBA, they're for real in terms of the playoffs, in terms of winning in the first round and moving on and putting fight into the second round, people are going to take notice, including Jerami Grant. But Portland doesn't want to lose him for nothing. And sometimes players can leave, although they have the right to walk away unrestricted. He can also do a sign and trade. Enter again, Obi Toppin. See? And so I just gave you two. There could be even more than that. I'm not interested in Kyle Kuzma, but Leon Rose was Kyle Kuzma's agent. Just telling you. Leon Rose was Kyle Kuzma's agent. I'd rather keep Obi, to be quite honest, right, and play him there. But that's a story for another day. So you see, Obadiah Richard Toppin Jr., Obi, is probably going to be on another team because he's too good to play 8 to 12 minutes a game in Mobb Deep. I would love for him to stay in New York. We have a tremendous bench, and he's part of it. But for his own career's sake, and this is the key, Knicks Nation, you that support Obi. Again, we're talking about Obi supporters here. You want what's best for him, don't you? What's best for him? Playing 15 minutes off Tom Tipp's bench? Or getting 35 minutes in Portland or Brooklyn? What's best for him? I think the latter. So as much as I'd like to have him here for his whole career, the fact that we now have Julius Randle, and I'm not looking at Julius Randle as a negative here. Julius Randle is a positive, okay? But it's an unfortunate situation. Leon Rose drafted him with the intention of trading Julius Randle. But Julius showed out. There are guys that just survive. They just hang on. Billy Martin was hired and fired by the Yankees, I don't know how many times. He kept coming back. There are guys that just hang on and survive. Okay? There was a point where Frank Ntilikina was the longest tenured Knick. And you expect him to be one of the first ones to be gone after Phil Jackson was gone. See? So there are guys that just hang on. So I don't know, but Julius is here. And he's not going anywhere. They're not trading him. Okay? And all of this, I prefer to trade Julius. The Knicks don't care what you prefer. They don't. They're keeping Julius Randle, at least for the next 2 seasons. That's this season and all of next season. I don't know what's going to happen after that because the summer of 2024 is going to be another very interesting summer. But right now, he's not going nowhere. And he's not going nowhere next year either. And if the Knicks happen to go past the second round, he's probably going to retire a Knick and have his jersey in the rafters somewhere in the future. Because Knicks Nation's going to go crazy if we win 2 rounds of the playoffs. Okay? So He ain't going nowhere. So that leaves Obi very few options. Very few. Okay. They can move Obi to the 3 and move RJ to the 2, which many believe, including myself, the 2 is his more natural position. They could do that. But like I said, I haven't seen him try that yet. I wish they would. I want to see how that works out. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I have a good feeling about it. I think Obi's better defensively now that you can put him at the 3. He's certainly as good as RJ Barrett in the defense this year. So I'm thinking you can put him there and you give him them open looks that RJ gets. Obi will start knocking him down. But I don't, like I said, I don't see Tom Thibodeau doing that. I wish he would. I don't see him trying that. So therefore, Obi will remain an 8, 9, 10, 12, 15-minute bench piece. Good bench piece for the Knicks. But this summer, I can see him being moved. And it's for his own sake, for his own career development. Okay? I'd like him actually to be in Brooklyn because, because he's from New York and he wouldn't have to really uproot himself. He'd just go right over the bridge, probably to a place he's very familiar with. And so that would be good for him, right? But going all the way to Portland, it'd be a long way from home, but he'd be able to play, right? And there are other possibilities besides the 2 I just named. But, he can play somewhere around Dayton in Ohio. He was comfortable in Ohio. I don't know, Cleveland is set at the 4. Detroit is pretty set at the 4. I mean, they got Isaiah Stewart and Marvin Bagley at the 4 right now. He's probably better than both of them as far as playing at the 4. He could play in Detroit. It might be, so there's other possibilities for Obi. But the 2 glaring ones are the Nets and Portland because of the pieces that they have that the Knicks would be interested in. And so that's why I'm bringing up Obi today. And again, this video is for Obi supporters, not Obi haters. Don't come on my channel, but Obi stink can't play, blah, 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 blah. Then I'll just delete you. So why waste each other's time? This is for Obi supporters. You'll have a good rest of your Monday. Sure.